What's going on, everyone? Thanks for joining us today for the 1004 show. We're here with Hamilton Perkins of the Hamilton Perkins Collection. What's going on, Hamilton?
What's going on, Zach? Thanks so much for having me on the show.
Absolutely. Toughest question first. Was it difficult to choose your name as the company name?
It technically wasn't that difficult. I thought about several names and I felt like naming it after myself was probably going to be the right move because I felt like I was bringing so much of myself to the brand and to the company. I think the collection part of it was more about just my experience and just always wanting to contribute to retail and like this industry. I've always been a consumer, always been either working jobs in this industry, and I collected a lot of experience from that. So that was how the name came together, and there's not that many other. There are no other Hamilton Perkins collections out there that I've heard of yet.
Hopefully not. Tell me about the genesis of HPC.
Yeah, so we started with a simple idea. We wanted to make a better bag. From making a better bag, we started a Kickstarter campaign. We had a $10,000 goal almost a year ago to the date. We hit that goal in about a week. We had 6 months for the first lead times. We ended up having a trunk show at Bloomingdale's at the end of 2016. We competed for the Governor of the Commonwealth's Virginia Velocity Tour, picked up a $25,000 grant out of that, and shortly after we shipped all of our pre-orders out to our earliest backers, turned our web store on in late 2016, early 2017, and really fought through inventory challenges, and now we're at a point where we're producing a few thousand units this year, and from there we're looking to ramp up production for next year.
You talk about the last year. I know that you've been working in the accessory world for the better part of a decade. How did you kind of learn from those experiences before to get to what now is a recycled bag that has a luxury feel to it?
Yeah, I think pulling on all of those experiences, when you work in retail, whether you're selling sneakers or sportswear or bags, I think, consumer insight is always at the core of what you do. So customers always have responded well to anything that was limited edition. Anything that they couldn't have, they always have been wanting it even more. And I think the perceived quality behind certain price points, there's always been like those dynamics that work. So I think really finding what was broken and finding where there were gaps, especially around kind of like transparency or how companies sort of make their supply chain work, how they create products that they create, using sustainable materials, which is the big one for us. We feel like advancing the idea of using sustainable materials in a product, in a bag, in an accessory is, something that in 2017, 2018, 2019 going forward is something that we should be looking at a little bit more closely. I think that, it's fine to use natural fibers, but to not even have an alternative for consumers in many cases around like a sustainable basic, we just didn't feel like that was acceptable, and that was why that's kind of the evolution, I guess, of HPC over the, from even when we weren't a brand to kind of what we are now as a brand.
Break down the bag. What's recycled in it? Kind of how it came together.
Yeah, so our bags are made from recycled plastic bottles and upcycled billboard vinyl. We partner with an organization called Thread International to help clean up canals and streets of Haiti. We also, on our own, go out and grab old billboard vinyls, posters. Clients will send us their own vinyls that they've previously used, and then we'll transform them into affordable designer bags.
Do you have to pay for those, or are they just trying to get rid of them?
So we do buy the fabric. We buy that from Thread, and at the end of the day, we don't pay to recycle billboards. So that's a trash item. It's headed for a landfill. We're actually helping out a company or an organization that, for example, is getting ready to send that off to the landfill. Because if you think about it, it actually becomes a really big problem when you look at it. Like if I could turn this camera around and show you all the vinyl sitting around, you'd say, if I didn't have a plan for these, you could tell like how quickly it becomes a challenge. And I even encountered that myself when I was first starting to go out and sort of source these myself. I'm like, man, like if I didn't, I mean, you see it firsthand when you go to the warehouses and things like that. But when you have it and you're in possession of it, you're like, wow, like this is a lot. This is a tough thing to deal with. So,
Is it is it a billboard that's just like I'm driving down the road?
yeah, just like you drive down the road, just like on a freeway, Los Angeles or Times Square, picture a big, whether it's a 25 by 100 or 12 by 25, 14 by 48. We can cut those down into several bags, several tens, dozens of bags, and then each bag is about a square yard of fabric. So we cut and sew the patterns together, and then that really solves the problem of how do I stand out? How do I stay unique as a individual? Most of the bags, will have very unique patterns that you're just all of them are never going to be seen again. They're always going to be limited edition series, limited runs. So once that bag is gone and sold, it's gone. So that's been what our customers get really excited about is the fact that there's kind of like this unique surprise inside and in some cases outside of every bag.
So they don't know what's in the bag before they get it.
Exactly. They never know what they're going to get.
Interesting. I can't remember. It might have been you that was telling me this, but in some communities, Tesla, if you have an energy station, they'll give you like a discount or something like that. Are you seeing that communities are giving you some sort of rebate or return in cash for actually upcycling the billboard? And is that something that you're going to try and do? If not,
Yeah, I've been, and it tells you about what I do spending my time, I guess. I've been kind of looking at some of the, just some of the different lists that come out, especially here in Virginia, about whether it's like incentives or recycling announcements. And I think the investment in equipment is really like the focus right now. I learned a lot about some of these through the Virginia Velocity Tour and kind of hanging out about some of the grants available, but I haven't necessarily seen any yet in terms of like billboards and kind of like just landfill waste, like how you can kind of get that. But if anyone knows that maybe is listening to this, maybe they can send me a note at hamiltonperkins.com and put me up on it.
it seems like something like that could be important. I have driven by your office in the past and seen these things literally rolled up, and they're big. They're, I don't know, probably 3 feet tall, if not bigger, and there's a lot of them. And so it's interesting because you only normally see the finished product, but to then take that and now put them in some of the bags in people across the country. How did you talked about consumer insights at the core of the idea is really important. How do you understand that a consumer is telling you solid information that they will actually then buy from? Because I think a lot of times people will say one thing, and then when it comes to pulling out the wallet, they don't do that. So how do you kind of gauge that what they're telling you is going to be good for business?
Yeah, I think I learned that you have to pay attention to behavior and not words. I think seeing, what's happening is probably it's the most I'd say practical thing. But then at the end of the day, it kind of hides in plain sight as well. I think you'll see behavior when you see lines outside of these boutiques, and you're kind of like, well, what's going on? You know, immediately it's something that's limited edition. You already know that that's creating a buzz, and it's probably really fueled by the internet. It's something that's happening online, some kind of promotion, pair of Yeezys, or, some kind of limited edition like Givenchy shirt, some YouTube celebrities collaborating with a brand. These are the things that are, you can just like look and see how people react. If you talk to someone that's like, in their younger 20s or, late teens, I mean, just listening to like kind of who they're following, what kind of artists they listen to, what kind of influencers that they're paying attention to. I think, you combine those two because you can see like what they actually spend on, and then you can kind of see like, what are you listening to these days, and what are you paying attention to? And I think that's how I've been able to kind of synthesize the data on that.
Very cool. Are you familiar with Eddie Wang?
That name is a little bit familiar, but
So
I'm
I
not
I
sure.
think he's more of an internet personality now. He has a restaurant in New York. He has a Viceland show. Um, but when I first learned about him, it was probably 6 or 7 years ago, and he told this story. I was at a conference, and he told this story about how he used to sell like new release Jordans, and there's a big market. He lived in New York City, and he basically would just have hundreds of pairs of Jordans in his apartment and would sell them for double, triple, quadruple the price, and will hustle them through. And so that's when I recognized that that world is something that can be very powerful, and the lines out the door is important. If you have something that someone wants and people get behind it, it can be powerful. I've seen the pictures behind you now, and then the many pictures that you guys post all across your social. These are all people that are who have bought the bag and are then just taking a picture of themselves in the bag. How is that kind of all come about?
Yeah, no, totally. And to your point earlier, I mean, classic economics at work when you think about, I actually had an eBay store as well where I would take sneakers and I'd buy them lower offline and then I'd sell them online for more for people that missed out on the releases. So going forward to making pictures and photo shoots, yeah, we've been able to basically create a community around kind of the idea of our product, the Earth Bag. So we've gotten, whether it's customers or if it's ambassadors, people that just want to support our brand, they've been able to help us get, really high res, high quality photos that, we can basically visually storytell. And, today that's almost like the currency. It's like photography, videography, going back to the earlier point of, how can you tell what people are responding to? Well, it's that, people are now much more engaged with a photo and a caption, or a video and a caption, a boomerang and a caption. Like, people are very interested in, visually storytelling. That's the communication method. That's the preferred communication method for a whole generation, especially who our customer is, who we speak to. So, yeah, we've been able to, kind of get several photos. We're always kind of working, always looking for new photos. So any photographers, hit me up. I'm going in for hard ass right now too. So
Are, are you
hit us up at
are you asking when
hamiltonredmond.com.
are you asking them when so you ship a bag? Is there like a card in there that says, "Hey, take a picture with this bag," or how are you actually getting the pictures and those people who are buying to take the pictures with the bag?
Yeah, so I mean, if anybody is like local, or even if you're not, I mean, if they send us a message, we like to try to find out like what can we do to bring value. And there's different ways to bring value. Some people are looking to build, their bank account. Sometimes they want to build their portfolio. Sometimes they want to build their aesthetic. There's so many different ways to collaborate. So we try to just break down the relationship dynamic first, and after that, then we can kind of see if it would make sense to move forward with a collaboration.
You were I can't think of the exact title, but a featured campaign on Kickstarter. So you guys had, I believe, had successfully funded, and then after that, you then got kind of the featured piece on Kickstarter. How does one become featured on Kickstarter?
Yeah, it was really hard to nail down when we were working on it. We became a project we love by Kickstarter,
Yep.
and it was tough because there wasn't like, a magic kind of number, or, some kind of like event that you could do that would ensure that or promise that. All we could really do, excuse me, was, kind of make sure that we tried to make the most out of the earlier duration of the campaign, making sure that we brought our community to the platform. I think that's the biggest piece. You have to bring a community to the platform. The platform's not gonna just, open its arms and just say, "All right, you're here now. Now you get everyone here that's already on the platform to support you." It turns into have a community, introduce that to a community that has virality built in, and then you can potentially have the opportunity to like become a project we love by Kickstarter. So
So by that
uh,
you mean basically pre-selling and bringing the community with you to Kickstarter. So you already have these people that are interested in what you're doing, and then when you actually go live on that, you just remind them, "Hey, this is what we're going to be doing." Is that what you mean by community, or something?
yeah, you need leads. You need to
Yeah.
come to Kickstarter with your own lead list. You need to come pretty much as if you've already ran the campaign, and on day one of your campaign, you're essentially like, that's just like starting to kind of reap, the benefit of what you've already done. Kickstarter is just, there's fatigue. There's so many different campaigns that are live at any moment, especially in your category. It's hard to stick out. But when you do have traction, particularly around numbers, you do get Kickstarter's attention. And then there, I think, is a subjective call where they look at it and they're going to say, is this something that, is going to fit within the other projects we love? So I think it makes sense as much as you can to study some of the projects we love as well, to see what's been selected in the past, and, try to be in communication with Kickstarter as much as you can. I mean, I was able to send over a couple of emails here and there and just get like advice and thoughts and, probably ultimately buy-in. So I think that probably helped us a little bit as well.
I think a lot of people look at crowdfunding as this new wave to get free money. And maybe it is, right? But you can't just throw up a video and put some copy on there and think that you're going to be successful. You have to bring the community with them. And I think that's why within days of campaigns, you start seeing these things that are already funded, because they've been building this community and let them know that, hey, we're going to be on Kickstarter and we need your support. And that's when then that virality piece comes into it. And that's when you can get to be a project that we love on Kickstarter. And it's cool that you've seen that. From that, you then were in Bloomingdale's and you had a trunk show there. How did that kind of come about? Because I'm starting to see a trend that like you pick up the phone and just start asking for things, which I appreciate a lot.
Yeah, organically, really. One of our customers, he had a roommate that had previously had employment there, as well as some other top retailers in the world. And I was able to connect with him several times. Like, he was in a transition period. He was like traveling around the world, and we would catch up in between his travels. I often drive hour out, a couple hours to meet him, and we would talk, and I'd show him what we're working on, and he'd say, well, like let's set this up so that you can come and kind of talk to Bloomingdale's about it. And I'm like, well, I'm coming to New York, let's do this. So we go to New York, we show up, we show them the products. They're really engaged, and they felt like this is the product that they can see being on their shelves. And I think it wasn't necessarily like right off the bat that it was going to be, okay, let's just have this trunk show. But after I had come back to Virginia, I kind of like contemplated a little bit on like what their reaction was. One of their reactions was sort of dedicated sales staff is something that they have challenges with. They need someone that can actually be dedicated to new brands and cultivate them and sell them. And I'm saying to myself, I'm up there at the Virginia Velocity Tour. I go through this process, I win the Virginia Velocity Tour. So on the way home, I'm thinking, they need a salesperson. I am a salesperson. I can go in the show and I'll be there. I'll sell the products. And then I suggested that on an email. I said, hey, I'll come in and sell it. And they said, sure, come on in. So we ended up getting a good date around the holidays, kind of at the height of the holiday season, which turned out to be wonderful for us to be next to some really important, I guess, brands in the culture. We were right next to Theory. We were right next to Canali, Ralph Lauren. And, it was just like kind of this magical moment for customers as well, because people would say, hey, I saw you on Facebook Live, or, I saw your Instagram post, and I just happened to be in the New York area, so I figured I'd come by and, come buy a bag or buy a shirt, whatever. So it turned out to be a really good time. We made real strong connections, and to date, we've hosted 3 trunk shows with Bloomingdale's, and we feel like we're still moving in the right direction.
It's always a great feeling. It's kind of like that first time you hear your song on the radio, or like the first time someone starts seeing you organically. It's a great feeling. How do you leverage these big brands, Kickstarter, Bloomingdale's, Virginia Velocity, to then grow your business?
I think you leverage big brands by knowing that they have audiences, but at the end of the day, I think you want to bring the value that you can to help bring, awareness to what they need. Whether you're working on a Bloomingdale's show, what do they need? They need differentiation. They need to be different from Nordstrom and Bergdorf, and what does Virginia Velocity need? They need to really showcase the talent, and the governor wants to showcase entrepreneurship. So It is about actually being that, being the thing that will actually showcase well. And then, just I kind of lost track of the the other point of a big brand. Oh, Kickstarter. So Kickstarter, I mean, they need creative projects. They help, their mission, I think I memorized it, was to bring creative projects to life. So be a creative project. We brought to them a project that was about trash into fashion, bottles into bags. That was going to be kind of a creative project right from the start. And that helps them, all of the brands. I mean, everyone still has an objective. So at the end of the day, I think that's how you can leverage the brands, is by helping bring as much value.
On your website, do you have things like as seen in Bloomingdale's or Kickstarter and stuff like that to then use at a later time to get people to look at you as someone that's credible?
Yeah, our website, we definitely we feature, or we show all of our features, like badges. So we've been in Forbes, Fast Company, Money Magazine, the Washington Post, um, New York Times. So these are all like kind of prominently on our home page, the landing page.
Yeah.
We also are in the process of redesigning our site. Um, excuse me. So we are going to have a little bit more better design on the site, because I designed it and I'm not a designer. So I just made a DIY situation work. But we have real designers that are coming in to actually you know make it look good. And we're doing something interesting here at the ODU Innovation Center as well, with a lot of the press and a lot of the kind of features and badges and brands and stuff that we've like worked with. So all that's to come soon.
You take trash and turn it into fashion. Is that something that you've worked on, that kind of saying, for a long time, or how did that kind of come about?
I think I just came up with a blog post. I came up with, try to tell a story in a way that like helps people really get what we do, because we do so many different things that it's hard to kind of explain sometimes, and you just want to like, you know, make it really digestible and make it very straightforward. And that's one of the straightest ways of saying it. I think bottles to bags is also a really clean
Right.
way to say it. Um, Trash into fashion is, um, it leaves a lot of question marks, I think.
It's a
Um,
good icebreaker.
yeah, it's a good icebreaker. I feel like bottles to bags is more concise and it really describes more what we do. Trash to fashion is more of like, it's like a higher theme. Like it's like that's more of like a 30,000 foot
Yeah.
level view of what's happening for us.
I appreciate that you DIY'd your website, and then once you had enough capital from sales, that then you said, okay, we need to invest in this a little bit longer. Is that a conscious thing to be like, hey, I don't have the capital to be able to do this at the beginning, but I'm going to figure out how to do it? Or because I think so many people think that they need to raise all this capital, put together this fancy website when they don't necessarily have anything proven. And so for you to be able to do the way that you have, like, what was the kind of the breakdown of wanting to do it that way?
Yeah, I mean, we're a bootstrap company. We felt like it would be tough to, just kind of come right out of the gate with a lot of, investments here, investments there. I think fashion is a very unforgiving place, especially working on a lot of first impressions. First impression is so important. But I think there's a certain level of vulnerability and a certain level of personality in kind of like being very hands-on in a way that it's a relatable, and it doesn't look like it's just been manufactured in some like beautiful like development house or something, which is still, there's a need for that, because a lot of customers at a certain maturity will say, hey, it's not for me. It doesn't look polished or clean enough. I can't trust it. It's not credible. But some people are exactly the same, or the different of that. They're the early adopter, and they're like, I want the kinks. I want to work through the problems with this company. Like I
Yeah.
want to be a part of that. And I think that's how we were like inherently. That's like our team. Like that's how we support other companies. Like we didn't need like a like a glassy or a glossy like advertisement or something to make us like get excited about a brand or a product. We wanted to sense that authenticity there, and I feel like all of those things kind of together, kind of represent how we got to having our web store being the way it is. But at stages, you have things that will be appropriate or make sense. And where we are now, like I say, I think design is something that's very important to us. So we do want to make sure that that comes across on our web store, and then just user experience. We really want that to come across really well. And to your point, yeah, that with sales, now it makes sense to kind of invest in those areas and to really kind of expand on our customer journey, make our customer journey be more delightful, which is basically what that's our mission as well.
When we were first building out 1004, I wanted it to be a duct taped off the shelf basically site. And the whole concept was, how much money can we make before we have to actually invest in infrastructure? And it took about 12 to 16 months for us to get to a point where I felt that we could build some infrastructure. And it was actually when some bigger companies or bigger organizations said, hey, we want this. And it was like, okay, they're looking for more polish, so that we need to do it. So I definitely understand that. How do you set a budget as a new business?
I mean, I pull on the old NBA stuff I got up here somewhere. If I can still hopefully remember some of that stuff. I think rule of thumb. I mean, you can kind of look. You can back into like marketing budgets. You can Google most of this stuff too. I mean, I'm really like basic. I'll Google stuff. I'll look up on the Investopedia. I'll go back, and sometimes I'll just ask professors or people in business that I have a respect for. I may say, well, how did you guys do this in the early days? What did that look like for you? And they may tell me a number, or they may tell me a range, and from that I'll try to put it in writing and see, does it still look good? And when I put it in writing, if it still looks good, then we work that into our business planning.
Very cool. How do you collect leads at a trunk show, at a Virginia Velocity tour, online, to knowing that people might not be buying immediately? How do you collect those leads, and then how do you kind of drip them down or funnel them down at a later time?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to always go back to the product, but the product itself is where it always starts for lead collection, and just making it a remarkable product that even if one product exists in the world, it's worth like remarking about it, telling another person. So we've really focused on like enhancing our product, making it in a way so that it basically becomes like a lead generation just by being out in the world. So, we knew that we had billboard vinyl on the inside of the bags, but now we have some bags that have vinyl on the outside. That's a conversation piece. When we're at events, we typically will, funny enough, we'll just ask, like, is there an email list that we could possibly, that we could communicate with? Can we somehow add value to that list? We love to create a blog, or we love to create content, or how can we find a way to just make sure that everybody that wanted to follow up is able to follow up. So from a drip standpoint, I mean, we definitely, it goes back to our photo shoots and the photography. Just being top of mind, really showing people themselves in our brand is really the way that we like nurture leads, because some people may be like really inspired by a Grand Canyon photo, but someone else might be really like turned off by that. Somebody might love like Paris and just always wanted to go, and then others are just like, man, I can't go to Paris. I'm not trying to go to Paris. So I think you have to really like try to get people to see themselves in the brand, and the only way to do that is through content and producing more content. So right now we're not where we want to be. We try to get something up every day, but the goal is really to have that be minimum a couple times a day, as many as 3 to 4 times a day. We know a lot of our competitors and other brands that are actually getting the word out that way. They're having a lot of success with that. So
are you using a scheduling tool for that stuff?
Or we don't. We've been really like just felt like we wanted to control it. We wanted to feel like it was a person doing it. We wanted to feel like it was really us, behind, all of the notifications. And we felt that it's hard to schedule certain things because at the end of the day, I mean, events happen, and we didn't want to like come across as like, like tone deaf to what's happening. Like if we're still posting about something and, there's like some like natural disaster or something, or some kind of like something that's not appropriate for what we're already scheduling to post and go out. So it also allows us to really like kind of capitalize a little bit more, I feel like, on what a lot of the social media is really turning into today in terms of access. We feel like access is really what people appreciate. That's why we try to produce anywhere from about 6 to 15 Instagram and Snapchat stories, Facebook stories a day, to keep people really like behind the scenes on what we're doing at a real time. So like anytime you want to know, what is like, this bag company working on right now, um, or you just want to see like, some images, some cool pictures, you can click on our profile picture on Instagram and you'll see like a photo shoot that we're working on, or you'll see how many boxes that we are working on a day. You might see like some orders going out the door. And I think those are some of the things that help differentiate us actually, so that we don't just like get like wiped out in a sea of like all these scheduled, kind of pieces of content that goes out. But that's good too at the end of the day, because it's hands free, and you're still getting the name out there.
I like what you said. Use social media as access into your brand, and I think that's something that I might use for my own. So I love that. You've recently gotten into shirts, so
Yes.
you're doing shirts now. What's the evolution on bottles to bags now? Bottles to shirts? Is it the same? Is it the same thing, or kind of why get into something like shirts now?
Exactly. Bottles of shirts. We already knew that our customers were looking for lifestyle products. We knew that they wear shirts. We knew that basics were a good place for us to really like leave our mark as well, because, again, typical shirt, it's about 97% cotton. The shirts we sell are 50% cotton and 50% plastic. You still have that same story of supporting dignified income opportunities with every shirt that we sell, but at the end of the day, the shirts are really comfortable and they look good. So that's, the reason that we wanted to make shirts. We wanted to make them for our customers that were already looking for those shirts. And our bigger goal of just like kind of helping transform retail into this place where sustainability is an alternative, like a serious alternative to maybe natural fibers. Then that helps us advance that objective as well.
You are a benefit corp.
We're actually a B corporation. We're certified as a B corporation. We're an LLC from a legal perspective, so we're not a benefit corporation, but we are sort of grandfathered in through being an LLC and a B Corp. If we were a corporation at the time of getting certified as a B Corp, they would have, I believe at the time, they would have required us to get benefit corporation status legally, but we actually ended up, we were an LLC, so we were able to get the B Corp certified.
What does that mean? B Corp certified.
Yeah, so there's a nonprofit called B Lab. B Lab is the company, or they're an organization that helps for-profit companies measure and scale their impact. There's about 2,000 companies around the world that are certified B corporations, like Ben and Jerry's ice cream, Patagonia.
Huh.
Eileen Fisher, I think, is the largest fashion company that's certified, and it's really a community of profit companies that have a, more than just bottom line. Warby Parker, for example, they're a benefit, or I'm sorry, they're a B corporation. As a B corporation, they sell a pair of glasses and then they give a pair to someone in need. In our case, we make bags out of recycled plastic and upcycled billboards. Each bag supports dignified income opportunities. So it gives us a way to create. There's actually an assessment, so it allows us to create like measurement on a lot of the things that we're already working on. We feel pretty strongly about, we're not experts in everything, but there's several people that in this world are really good at things, and when they're really good, it makes sense to partner up with them. And B Lab is one of those organizations that they have a really strong founding team, I mean really strong management team, with a lot of experience in just legal and impact and metrics. Like they're very adept in those areas. So for them to kind of help us kind of focus our attention as we're really, we're good at like the bags and we're good at the shirts. It helps us really, become like a better company.
Love it. We're talking to Hamilton Perkins of the Hamilton Perkins collection. You guys can check out the website at hamiltonperkins.com. Discount code 1000FOUR at checkout. If you guys are interested in that, check out the bags. You guys have 3 price points, or kind of 3 items at this point. You have one bag, the Earth bag. It's $100, correct? And then you have
$95 for the Earth bag, and then we have shirts. Shirts are $25.
And then do you have a second level bag still, or have you guys?
We're releasing 3 new products for holiday. We haven't announced them yet, but they will be bags. And
stay tuned.
Yes, stay tuned. Check us out at hamiltonperkins.com. You can use that discount code. You'll get $10 off your first order.
Awesome. What's a day in the life of Hamilton Perkins like?
Day in the life of Hamilton Perkins. Always, different. I wake up about 5 a.m. every morning. I usually hit the gym. After the gym, I'm doing some journaling at home, and then I'm in the office hopefully by 7:30. I'm usually here starting to basically start with orders. I get orders prepared, but then after that, it can really, change in a heartbeat. I will, typically go to the post office. A couple things are like every day. Like I know I'm going to work out every day. I know I'm going to be in the post office every day. What else do I do every single day?
Do they know you by name there now?
Journaling. Oh yeah, no, they're so good to us. We're thankful for our friends at the post office. All the post offices in Norfolk, by the way. They'll say, "Hey, I saw you on TV," or "I saw you, I saw you on Facebook," or something. So it's cool. They really know what we're doing, so they support what we're doing. They help us get things done,
and they're a huge piece to the business if you really think about it. Because if you can't have a good relationship with them, then you can't get the product shipped out to other people.
It's so important. It's so important. Like just to think about logistics. We're starting to bring on like partners now to help us, that they have really deep expertise in a lot of these areas, like third-party logistics and just certain warehousing, and just like communicating with our factories down in Haiti and our suppliers in Haiti and some of our other collaborators in Haiti. There's just a ton of different people that like help make things go around. So it's not just like us. It's also having a strong network of like a team to help us build.
Is there something that we haven't touched on, or something that's unique about HPC that we haven't talked about yet?
I think you covered it. I think we just want you to know, even though we're making a sustainable product, it's not less quality, or it's not like you're not sacrificing like style or design. I think that's probably the one thing that we have to overcome, is let people know that this is not like the previous idea that most people had about like recycled materials. You always think like, oh, is it going to be cheap feeling? Is it going to be like like feeling kind of crafty? It's none of that. It feels like a normal bag. It wears like a normal shirt, and that's why we provide a discount code at checkout, so that you'll try us out and reach out, leave us a review once you receive your product.
Yeah, I've seen the product firsthand, and the shirts are great. You almost are surprised that 50% plastic is there, and with the bags you can't even tell that it's recycled, and so it's really cool. Check that out at hamiltonperkins.com. Use the code 1000FOUR at checkout. Hamilton, I appreciate your time and continued success, and looking forward to the 3-piece line that you guys are going to release soon for the holidays, and continued success to you, my friend.
Thank you so much, Zach. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely.